Let's get started. So this is the part one of the basic animation series. This is assuming you don't know anything about 3D animation and you haven't done any animation. So we'll start with the very basics. We're using Blender 3D 3.2 for this lesson. We also have a screencast where you could see the commands that I'm using right here and the mouse click. Okay, so when you open the file, this is what you're going to see right here. We're in the preview mode, okay? Material preview, and this is the camera setting right here. So we're also in the solid shading. So I need to change that to the final render output, okay? If your computer can't handle the final render output, but you want to see some shading and whatnot, you can go to material preview here. If you skip the lesson on how to change all this, we do have that. Let me just pull that up. It will be on the first week right here, okay? And it's the video number 4 on week 1. So this one right here, okay? This is what you need to be watching, okay? In order to proceed to this lesson also, I need you to watch on the 3rd week, the first video, right here, okay? And of course the other videos are still coming, but you need to watch this first, video 1, okay? And yeah, that's what you need to watch first in order to kind of participate, okay? So I changed that to the final render kind of rendered view, and this one is a material preview, okay? If you can't see your, if you have a lower resolution or you're using a laptop and you can't see these options right here, position your mouse cursor here and then you can scroll your mouse and it will slide that. Same thing in here. Mine is, I have a high resolution here, but let me just kind of show you that where, there you go. So as you can see here, they're kind of missing. So if I position my mouse cursor right here and then I scroll my mouse, then you can reveal those, okay? Whenever you see options on my screen and they're missing on your screen, that's the reason, okay? Because they're basically hidden. So scroll your mouse. All right, so we'll do this video in sections so that you know, they're not too long to watch, okay? So first is just to kind of introduce you to the file and what you need to be working and the limitations. All right, so this is designed where you can't really select anything except for this arrow empty or this helper right here. So this is what we use to move everything. So you can't select, no matter what you do, you can't select anything in this file other than this one. So it's basically designed that way. It's limiting. So you'll see right here where those things are actually disabled, okay? Another thing too is that if this is your first time animating, we are in the animation tab. Normally you start in the layout, okay? It probably looks like this at the beginning, okay? And then you can switch that to preview or final render, okay? And we have several tabs right here: modeling, sculpting, all the way to animation, okay? We're in the animation tab right here. Let me just make sure, okay? We're in the animation tab right here. By the way, I was in texture paint right there, so when I moved to animation, it changed to painting. So make sure you go in here and then you're in object mode in case you did, and click all those all the way like I did, okay? All right, let me turn on screencast here, making sure, okay? We're in the animation tab. Basically, you have 2 cameras. One you can't see because this is the working camera. As you can see right here, I can scroll with my mouse, okay? And let me just turn off show last operator here so that we don't see all the keys, okay? All right, this is the working camera and this is the recording camera. You can't see the camera right now, okay? Let me just turn that thing on right there. There it is. So this camera right here is pointing at this scene, and that's what you're seeing right here. So this is the recording camera, and we have our working camera, Okay, so I lock that thing and I turn it off so that everything that you'll see, it's basically we're working on this ground and everything is in here. Okay, like I said, you can't select anything in this scene file until much later so that we can kind of concentrate on the lesson. Okay, so if you watch again this lesson here, first video, it kind of goes through the steps of animating anything on any program that has some animation capability. Okay, so also we have our toolbar right here. Okay, keyboard shortcut for this is the letter T for tools. Okay, so it just kind of toggles that on and off. Another thing to know is the sidebar. The keyboard shortcut for that is N, as in numbers. Okay, and it just toggles on and off. Okay, and you would see yours on item right here. So, and then there's several views here, and depending on how many add-ons you have, they'll all have their own tabs right here. Okay, and there's that little kind of arrow right there. If you can click that, that's basically clicking in. All right, so again, we're in the animation tab. This is the recording camera, this is the working camera, and this is your timeline right here, or your horizontal dope sheet. Okay, normally in animation, dope sheets, especially for 2D, they're vertical. Here, because it's timeline, kind of like video based, so it's a horizontal timeline. Okay, we start off in Blender as default as 24 frames per second. So 1 second takes about 24 photos or shots. Okay, so that's kind of like our timing, 24 frames per second. By default, Blender starts at frame 1. So to make up 1 second worth of animation, it'll be 1 and 25 right here. 1 through 25, which is 24 frames. If you opt to start at 0, because you could change your start time at 0 right here. That'll be 0 and 24. Okay. The default also is that you're looking at 1 to 250 frames. So this is the default view or magnification. Okay. It's not recommended to view as much as the computer allows you or the default allows you. You need to be concentrating first on what you're working on. So if you're working on frames 1 through 50, then change your range right here from 1 to 50. Okay, so let me just do that. Let's do 100. All right, so I'm going to start with 1 to end time is 100. And as you can see here, kind of grayed out the area. I mean, you can still go here. You can still animate here. It's just that we need to be concentrating here. So in order to do that, I can middle click drag here. I'm middle click dragging with my mouse. Okay. And then I'm going to scroll the mouse. All right. Right there. Okay. So that I'm basically framing. So you can middle click drag to kind of pan, and then you can scroll the mouse to kind of zoom in, zoom out. Okay, so watch the video. If you don't have a 3-button mouse, again, watch the video on the first week. Video number 1 right here. Okay, and these are all in the YouTube channel, by the way. You know, if you're watching this, go to the channel and you'll see all this. You can just type in on the search under the page, but this is on week 1. All right, so if you don't have a numpad and you're struggling to click and follow the video, that means you have not seen this. And there's also a 3-button mouse alternative right there, where if you only are using a trackpad. All right, so now that we have set up our time frame from 1 to 100 and we zoomed in on that area, again, if you're only working from 1 to 24 or 25, you can pan like so and then scroll the mouse and then just kind of view that area. Okay, so you're magnifying your timeline, basically. That's what's happening. So let's leave that to 100 right there, because that's what we kind of agreed on, just to kind of play with this for now. Okay, all right. Another thing is that we are setting this up under the renderer Eevee. Okay, so when you got the file, these are all pre-checked for you. Okay, so I went to my panel right here all the way to the top. It looks like the back of a digital camera. Okay, so this is the render setting, and then down here is the output setting. Okay, Over here, you'll see render engine EV, leave everything as default. Ambient, occlusion, bloom, and then screen space reflections are turned on. Okay, so when these things are off, so let me show you what they look like when I turn those off. So ambient, occlusion, bloom, and then screen space reflection. I'm going to turn it on here so you can see it better. And I'm going to turn off my overlay so you don't see any of that for now. Okay, you don't need to do any of this. I just want to show you what those do. So when you turn on ambient occlusion, it gives you kind of like contact shadow effect. Bloom, it gives glow to those light, hence spaceship. We're kind of like simulating as if it's being powered. Okay, and then space reflection, anything that's reflective will bounce up. So these are all turned on when you open this file. However, when you just start a new file, like file new, general, or any parts of Blender, these are unchecked by default. Okay, so again, those are the things that are preset for you for this file. So I'm going to go back to material preview here so that I'll be working on this one in a slightly easier to see version. Okay, I'm going to turn on my overlay so I could actually see the screen. Okay, so what are we seeing on the screen here versus what I turn off also versus default? If you go to overlay over here, okay, I turn off the floor, which is kind of like the grid line, okay, and then I also turn off, well, grid by default I think is turned off, and I turn on the Z-axis right here. Normally this is the default that you'll see in Blender, okay, but they just kind of cluttered the screen for our demo, so I turned off the floor, but I did activate the Z-axis. Okay, I'll also be using the tilde key, which is the key below the keyboard, to change the screen. Okay, normally I would use numpad, kind of like so. Numpad 1 for the front, side, top, and then if you combine the control on this one, control 1, it gets the back, control 3 would be the left side, control 7 would be the bottom. Okay, I'll be using the tilde so that you could actually see the view that I click. So the tilde is the key below escape, and then you can change your viewport. Okay, so I'll be using this so that you know exactly what I'm clicking. Okay, but you don't have to follow that if you're familiar with the keyboards, because you watch the lessons again, navigation and interface on week 1, then you'll see the alternative. Okay, so tilde, that's how we change the screen. So I'm going to go to the front, which I am right now. It says here front orthographic. Okay, and we can start with a lesson. Okay, so again, this is just like a introductory to the file so that you know what's happening. Again, you can only select this transform kind of gizmo for it, or the empty, okay, to move the alien. All right, so we're going to start with our animation by using the transform tools. Okay, again, keyboard shortcut to reveal the transform tools in case they're not showing is T. We have here at the very top, this is the select tool. So it's what you use to select. By default, it's the rectangular selection. But anytime you see any tool in Blender with that tiny little triangle at the corner right there, that means there's more that's revealed. Okay, okay, if you click and hold down the mouse, there's more options right there. So there's a circular circle select, and then the lasso select, and then this one is the select box. Okay, in case you were put on any other selection, just simply click and hold down, go back to the select box. So this is what we use. This one is your cursor. This is how you set up basically origin for anything that's created. So wherever this thing is, if you accidentally click this, okay, and then you click, so you can see it's right there, and then you click right there, it moves over there. So what does that mean? Then this is the starting point for any object that you create. Kind of like if I click add right here and mesh and make a cube, it jumps right there as suppose it was in the center. So how do you put that back? Best way to put this back is while it's selected like this, while you're in the cursor, get out of that, okay, so that you won't change the location of that anymore. There's several ways to do it, but the most visually that would make sense when you're just starting is to reset it back to 0, 0, 0 where it was. right here, the center of the world, okay? So to do that, press N for your sidebar, and then you will see your view, okay? Go to the view tab right here. You will see your 3D cursor location, X, Y, Z. So you can see if I toggle this, slide this, you can see that kind of moving about the direction of where it's supposed to go, Z-axis up and down. So if you select all this by dragging it like so and type in 0, let me do that again, it just goes back into the center. Okay, so again, I press N for the sidebar, and I went 3 tabs lower under view, location 0, 0, 0. All right, so these are just kind of upkeep on things that you might accidentally do while working on this file. Okay, so cursor right here, and after the select box, okay, stay away from this one for now. So we have the 3 tools right here. These are the one that kind of matters. This one, it's an all-in-one tool, okay? It's basically, if I click this, it has all those tools active. You can move, rotate, and scale at the same time, not at the same time, but visually you're seeing all that. Not recommended when you're just starting. Just start with one at a time. So the top one right here is your move tool. This one is your rotate tool. And this one is your scale tool. So the move tool, again, it's for moving or positioning, changing the location. Rotation is rotation, of course. Scaling is scaling, resizing. Okay, so we're going to start with our move tool right here. So if you don't have anything selected, you can just these are transform and select tools as well. So you don't have to go to select here just to select that, then click on the move tool. However, sometimes that is you won't be able to select anything with the move tool on, because the gizmo right here is blocking several things, so you might want to just go select. But for now, any of this tool you can actually select, so you can deselect dead space, select dead space to deselect, then select this back. Okay, so there are also transform and select tools. So I'm on the move tool right here, and then I'm going to select my empty, okay, or this is the controller for the UFO, and you'll see your arrows right here. So if I grab the arrow, the red one, then I'm moving it along that axis, the red X axis, okay? So right now is a little trick. If you're holding the mouse while your left mouse button, if you're doing this, if you right click right now, it cancels that, kind of like clicking undo, and it brings it back here. Let's say you can't do that because you're using a trackpad. So let's say if you just want to test what the x-axis looks like when you drag it, you can do it like so, and then click edit undo to put it back to the way it was, or control Z for undo. Okay, so x-axis, I'm going to right click to cancel that. So the blue or z-axis goes up and down, okay, and then the y-axis goes in and out. All right, so to kind of give you an orientation on that one, I'm going to click the tilde right here and then go front. Okay, so it's same thing. While you're in the front, orthographic, this becomes a 2D screen now. As you can see, we can't see the green arrow, so we can't actually perform that. So I can only do right and left right here with the x-axis. And then I have my blue or z-axis to go up and down. But if I want to move both X and Z position, I'm going to grab this green square, and you're able to kind of do X and Z at the same time. Right click to cancel. All right, so I'm going to go to the top, tilde top. When you go to the top, you lose the Z axis, because again, top is a orthographic, it's a 2D axis. So I can only go left and right here, and in and out. Okay, don't get confused now. I'm not going up and down. I'm looking at this at the top viewport. So I'm only moving front and back. Watch the recording camera on the left side. So you can see that's the movement. Okay, all right, so if I grab the blue, which is the one that's missing, all right, that's not an arrow, by the way, that's just a grab gizmo. So if I drag that blue square, I'm able to do X and Y. Okay, now I'm going to go to the right side here. And when I'm doing the right side, as you can see here, if I click tilde right here, it's context specific, okay? Like object-oriented programming. So make sure your cursor is in this viewport when you want to change this view, okay? Don't be going here and then pressing that, then your camera will change, okay? So I'm gonna press escape. I'm gonna be right here where my cursor is, tilde. I'm gonna go left side. Okay, when I go to the left side right here, I see my blue up and down. Right click to cancel. Green, in and out. Okay, all right, again, the green arrow here is not going left and right. Okay, it's going in and out because we're on the side viewport here, flat. If I grab the red square, I'm able to move Y and Z at the same time. Okay, but for now, we're not going to do that. We're going to go very specific with our movement. Okay, so I'm going to go front viewport again to kind of go back to this one, or I can even click drag to kind of rotate my view so you can kind of see it in 3D right here. Okay, now that we understand the direction X, Y, which is in and out, and Z, I'm going to turn those off in my overlay. So I'm going to click this down arrow right here. I'm going to turn those off so that we get less clutter in the screen. Okay, so and if you want them back, of course you click that, and so on and so forth. Okay, so for now that's what we're clicking. All right, so next we're going to learn how to keyframe using the transform tools and the sidebar item using numbers. As you can see here, it's also laid out right here, those transform tools. Okay, all right, see you in the next video.